Hey guys, this is Tony with Salt Strong, and in this video I wanted to talk about some common mistakes people make when using a trolling motor in shallow water. Because if you're not using it properly and you're not, adjusting it properly, you're going to make fishing tougher in shallow water and you're going to spook fish. So you're going to pretty much make yourself have an unproductive day just because of your trolling motor. Now, first off, big mistake people make is that they don't adjust the depth that the trolling motor is sitting at. So you want to adjust the depth to accommodate for the depth that you're fishing. And you'd be surprised how high up you can get these trolling motors. So right now I have it set pretty high up. So what I want to do is sort of play around with it as far as the adjustment goes to see how high I can get the trolling motor in the water. As you can see there, trolling motor sitting pretty high up in the water, but when I turn it on, you're going to see here the prop is still underwater. It's not making a bunch of noise. It's not, cavitating at the surface and doing a lot of prop wash. So it's still nice and quiet, but I have it as high up as possible so that I can get as shallow as possible without hitting bottom. Now, the next mistake I see a lot of people make is that they will adjust the speed too much, and or they will, start and stop at a high speed. So if you're starting and stopping the trolling motor with it set at a very high speed, you're creating a lot of disturbances in the water, a lot of sudden bursts in the water, and that can spook fish in the shallows. So make sure, if you are stopped, just turn the speed down to 0, turn it on, and then gradually increase the speed. Now, another mistake I see people make is that they go too fast in the shallows. And if you're going too fast, you're going to bump into things if you don't see them quick enough. And also, you're going to run over fish and you're going to blow out the area. So what I like to do is pretty much keep it at one speed, sort of slow, sort of like a crawling speed, like so. Again, you don't want to go too fast that you start running over fish and you start missing opportunities, and you don't want to go too slow that you're not really going anywhere and covering water. So find that sweet spot and try to keep it there. And when you do have it at that low speed, you can get away with, stopping and starting because it doesn't kick like it usually would if you have it set at a really high speed. So now, just to show how shallow I can go with where the motor's set at now, it's probably about a foot underneath the water. Go up to the shoreline. Still a little deep here, but you can see I can get right up to these trees. So if my lure got stuck, I could go right up to these trees without worrying about bottoming out in the trolling motor. And also, it's going to depend on the draft of your boat. Obviously, you can only go as shallow as your boat can go, so you definitely want to take that into consideration. But the biggest takeaway here is to adjust your trolling motor, get the most out of it. You'll be surprised how shallow you can get with a trolling motor and still be stealthy, but definitely make sure you're paying attention to, what's down right in front of your feet, because oftentimes you can hit a stick or a log or something like that. And once you hit something, it can really blow out that area for a while because those fish know something's up. Now, when you do have your trolling motor set pretty high up, what you want to be cautious of, if it's a windy day or you get some boat wakes coming in, that when those wakes come in, you turn it off. That way the prop doesn't come out of the water and blow out the area by making a bunch of noise. So definitely keep that in mind. And also, if you do have the prop or the motor pretty high up to get shallow, keep in mind that if you move to the back of the boat or any weight gets distributed to the back of the boat, if somebody else is on the boat, that can adjust how shallow or how deep the motor is going to sit as well. So definitely keep that in mind. So if you're fishing by yourself, you're up front, you have it shallow, and then you move to the back and you still have it on, go ahead and give an example here. Turn it on high speed. So I'll move to the back of the boat here, actually right in the middle, And now you can see how it's making all that noise because it props up out of the water. As soon as I move forward, it's back underwater, nice and quiet. So you really have to experiment with the motor you have and also the boat you're using to definitely get the most out of your motor and make sure you're not making these mistakes. Now, one last thing, if you are fishing in deeper water, you know, 5-6 feet of water, just keep the motor down pretty far. That way, if boat wakes come by, you don't have to worry about the prop coming up out of the water as the bow, you know, raises up and lowers down when it's going over those waves. And you're not really going to hit anything in water that deep, so you don't have to worry about bottoming out. But again, when you do get to the shallows and you want to get up as shallow as possible, go slow and bring that motor up as high as you can get it without that prop, you know, disturbing the surface of the water. So this area that I'm in now, I'm actually catching quite a few fish. There's been a lot of trout, snook hanging out in this area. And if you're one of our insider members, keep in mind that I will be posting a report about this trip, so you'll be able to see, you know, where I was catching these fish, what I was using, and things like that. And if you're not an insider member, you're definitely missing out on these reports that can help you catch more fish no matter where you live. So definitely be sure to check that out.